We're at the home of everything, Frederick, and I'm with Nicole, your CFO.
Yes. Hi.
I'm so glad to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And you are a sponsor of She Week. I am interviewing all the She Week people.
Oh, you
everybody's been nominated and all the She-Ros. You are fairly new to Frederick.
Yeah.
And now you own a business, Your CFO.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about this business you have.
Okay, so it's a fractional CFO COO company, which maybe means nothing to you.
No, I have no idea what you just said. So you're going to have to dumb it down for me, Nicole.
Okay, so I provide strategic partnership sorts of services, finance and operations to small and mid-sized businesses.
Okay.
So I'm partnering with the CEO, helping them sometimes to develop data to be able to make better choices, to help them drive strategic initiatives to build value in their company.
Wow. Okay, Tell me what you were doing before you started this company.
So I was the CFO COO full-time of a middle market construction company, which I owned with two partners.
Okay.
We sold it in 2021, and I stayed on for 2 years after that as the CFO COO.
Okay.
So exited that last year, late November, and started Your CFO.
So what did you learn as a CFO about what was missing from a small to medium-sized business structure?
Most small and mid-sized businesses have some finance staff, or they are using some sort of an outsourced bookkeeping kind of provider. And those people are very good and completely vital to the process. I rely on them. I recommend them all the time.
Yeah.
To record transactions, to classify things properly, to provide retroactive financial reporting about past performance. But then to take things to a proactive approach, that's where I come in to interpret the data and help them make better decisions to improve the performance going forward versus just looking at what's happening.
Right.
It's a lot more focused on what we can do to make more of what we're doing, how we can use the efforts, like you're saying, to be more productive. So, and sometimes they don't really know how to do it. I mean, they know they want to grow.
Right.
They don't know how they should grow.
Right.
And sometimes it's certain things that have worked well in the past that they've just been able to sort of react to positive things that have happened along the way, maybe aren't working as well anymore, or they've sort of outgrown some of the way that they were operating, and the result of that is, maybe some inefficient staffing or bad marketing choices or other areas where the spend isn't getting the results.
Right.
So my role, more than cost cutting, not that I love cost cutting. Sure, don't waste the money. That's fine. But I just kind of believe that putting the effort, rather than finding a new space to save $500 a month of rent, maybe the effort is better used to streamline your product offering and get more buying power from your suppliers so that you can make a higher margin on your sales. And maybe we should redo your pricing and start charging 10% more, and maybe consider offering some sort of new revenue source to the existing clientele.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of projects we work on.
So when you take on a new client, a business, how does that look for them? Like, is this a kind of, you have like a day session where you just kind of download their brain, or are you working alongside them for a long time? How does that work?
So I work with people in more than one way. I have multiple price points where I work with people in an ongoing capacity, and most of my clients, that's how I work with them. So it's a monthly retainer, it has a scope, we have a sort of meeting cadence, and then depending on the engagement and the scope, I'm more or less involved in different operational aspects of the business.
Okay.
Then I also work with people, and this is more larger companies, I guess, than small, in a project capacity. So in that, it might be a more intensive, short-term project where we're looking at the specifics of a new launch, whether it's geography or new product or other things like that. Sometimes it could be involving redoing the compensation plans, like giving employees performance-based bonus structures that help, re-engage them in their work, help them be more aligned with the business goals, and get a little more empowerment in their role to help them produce better.
Yeah.
Different projects
I could recommend a lot of companies that need your help. If there was one thing you'd want people watching to take away from your CFO, what would that be?
So I find a lot of times I start talking with people and they are very like embarrassed a little maybe about the current state they're in. You know, maybe they're
yeah, because you're the fix-it person, right?
Sometimes,
so, yeah, sometimes.
you know, the maybe the margin's going down,
Right.
or the sales are going down, or they haven't really been on top of all their financial recording, and they don't really know where they stand. And I guess I would just tell people that that is very normal, and you don't need to be embarrassed about it. Because sometimes it's good to have that conversation, particularly before you engage someone else to try to fix that.
Sure.
To talk about how we can make it better and what we can do, because it's very normal. You know, everybody likes to hear, you're not the only one that's in this situation. You know, everybody goes through some struggles, and truthfully, even much larger companies have the same sorts of issues. They're just bigger,
different scale,
and worse. And you know, just because they look perfect from the outside, they're not.
Extra zeros at the back.
That's right.
But yeah, as far as meeting new clients or maybe wanting to reach new people, is there anyone in particular you can kind of give us the scope for, so that if anybody watching knows a company that kind of fits in that?
So I'm pretty industry agnostic. I have a lot of different kinds of companies, and I'm not, you know, too choosy about industry. But my main criteria for a client is it has to be a client that wants to grow.
What about companies who want to grow to an acquisition?
If someone ultimately wants to make an exit like that, it's really best to start thinking about their operations and strategy at least 2 years before they start the process. Not that I haven't talked to people that want to move forward with it in like 4 months. But the reason for that is because, especially with smaller companies, you know, there's certain goals that you have to achieve that take time, that really increase the value. So one of them is to get the owner out of every day-to-day operation. Which sounds like it should be easy, but it's not.
No.
The other thing about it is it needs to be scalable at a profitable rate. So if you keep growing revenue and your margin keeps going down, that's not attractive to a buyer. If you are, a lot of people say this, that all their business comes from referral. And it's all very custom. And that's great. It's just that it is not necessarily the most attractive thing to a buyer, because a buyer is going to pay you multiple times what you earn in a year.
Right.
And they might be using debt to do that. They might be paying a higher interest rate for the debt. So what they want to be able to do is get your company and then duplicate what you're doing well to rapidly scale up and make the same or better margin. So if you can, you know, work a little further in advance to sort of add new product lines or maybe new services that are more duplicatable, you know, more marketable broadly.
If you had more people, you would be able to even increase more or something like that.
You know, turn some of your offering into sort of a subscription model that's recurring. Like I said, offer new products or services that are more duplicatable, and that you can demonstrate that you know how to market them well and efficiently.
Marketing. Marketing, I say.
Marketing is important.
It is
because the buyer wants to know, okay, well, you did this well here in Frederick. I want to do this again in Silver Spring. And I can just do this marketing here. And
every time I talk to somebody who says we're selling the business, I said, this is the time to market. They want to know you have a brand value, because that value can help get you more money.
So
or at least get you what you're asking, if you can show you have a good brand.
If they can see that you have a trajectory that allows you to take some aspect of your business and duplicate it over and over and over again in a profitable way, they're much more interested in paying you a higher multiple, right? Let
me ask you about the construction business that you're in. How did you get into construction?
When I was in college, I worked in an office building, just in an office, and I met the owner of a home improvement company in the deli, and I started working there. So I worked there for several years. I was doing CRM implementation, which I had zero qualification to do, but I did it well. So then I started working in consumer financing and in operations. During that time is also when I went back to school to get a master's in accounting, which I needed to get my CPA. So later I moved into another construction company that was into a role that was the assistant controller role and operational role. I was there for a few years. That's the company I ultimately ended up owning a part of, but in order to do that, I had to leave I left and I went to work for a local venture capital firm in Virginia. And then after a year, I came back into a role that enabled me to access ownership of the company, the CFO, COO role, and I was in that role for 10 years.
Your CFO, LLC.com. If you or somebody you know might need the guidance from this lovely lady, you can check it out, contact her, and we welcome you to Frederick and wish you many, many years here of happiness and watching your children grow up here in Frederick. I think they're going to have a great future.
Oh yes, we will not be moving.
Yeah.
We're here for the long haul.
I understand that. All right, we thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.